Scott, thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate it. And, I learned something from my Latino brothers and sisters that if you want to give claps in the chat, you put fives or sevens. I prefer the sevens because it's a bigger number, but they told me fives or sevens are representing applause. So, but anything you want to do, I definitely appreciate it. But today is not about an applause for me. It's really about you and those of you who are out there. I know we've got people who are here from all around the world, different places that are chiming in today. It's a very special day. This has been a very special moment in time. I'll speak just a little bit about that. I don't want to kind of bore us down with all of what's taking place in the world, because every visual channel that I've actually used to hear about today's state of affairs, it's all about doom and gloom. And I'm like, hey, listen, let me be the one person that I'm going to choose to say, hey, listen, I'm going to be the one that brings the good news and not the doom and gloom of what's taking place and what's going on. And so I can tell you right now, we are having some of the best and the biggest times in the short history of our company. We are on pace now to have our second biggest month second biggest month right now. And it's possible that we'll eclipse and have this be the biggest month that we've actually had in our entire company. And it's because I think during times of challenges and during times of dismay, during times of opposition, us as entrepreneurs, I think us as people, us as humanity, we have two options. We can join the media and focus on what's wrong. And I'm very sensitive to anyone who has been affected by what goes on in the world. And it happens daily. But there's another side of the coin as well. There's going to be more people who live and get through this than people who don't. And what I've chosen to do is focus on how am I going to live and what am I going to do to provide and make a contribution to those people who are going to be here, who are going to be around, while still being sensitive to those who've been affected and suffered loss. And so today, ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to be focusing on possibility. I'm going to be focusing on opportunity. I'm going to be focusing on life. And I do understand that, some people like to have the other part included, but that may be a different channel that you may have to tune into. And so I'm very grateful. Thanks, Scott, for being a part of Vibe Rides. Guys, we've got an incredible team of people that have aligned with my vision for what I wanted to bring to the world when it comes to opportunity and when it comes to a new economy. And if you want me to call it anything, I'll call it a new economy. With where we are right now, April 1st was our official beta launch day. Couldn't have been a better time for us right now because we're able to mold an opportunity for what the future is going to be. Just a couple months ago or 60 days ago or whatever it was, I believe there was a reset button that was hit. And the reset button gave opportunists and visionaries an opportunity to define what the new normal will be. Before 60 days ago, the biggest companies in the world had actually set what was normal. And they took our ideas and they took their ideas and they almost forced us to live the way that they had set forth. Well, with this reset button, not only myself, but every one of you who are sitting out there, you've got an opportunity to say, here's what the new normal is going to be because I'm going to choose it and I'm going to set it. And that's exactly what we've done. Our team of people that we have, obviously with Scott, with Angela, with Frederick, with DJ, with Sacco, with all of our entire team, Mark T. Gray, Melissa, and our entire customer amazement team that we have, Frederick. We've got an entire team. There's many others that I could actually list that have taken something and said, we have an idea for what the future of business can be for what I call the little guy. I'll share just about maybe 1 or 2 minutes about my background so you'll understand why we created this opportunity, and why it's so significant for you to be here listening in right now at this time. I come from a background of, I don't want to say we were poor, because we had a lot of love in our family and we had a lot of encouragement, but money was something that was just it was a premium for us to have it. And I was the first person in my family to go to college, because I was told, if you go to school, go to get a good education, go to college, this is going to be how you're going to get out of the projects. And so I did that. I went to school, I got a good education. And when I thought my education was good enough, that was when I dropped out of college. And so I'm the first person to go to college, but I'm also the first person to drop out of college. Why? I had an idea. I had an idea that I thought I could do something different and change my family and make a little small impact on the world. And I was able to pursue it. And it took me a while of pursuing it. And I went through about 7 years of failure experiences to realize years later that the big rainbow for me was waiting on the other side. And I'm so grateful for that moment. But through that time and through how I've lived, I've recognized opportunity. And so often opportunity is disguised for people who come from backgrounds like myself. I didn't have the prototypical attorneys and doctors and businessmen and businesswomen and ultra successful people around that would give advice and pass it on through the community. I didn't have that. And so I'm that guy who's the champion for what I call the little guy. And when I mean the little guy, I'm talking about the guy that doesn't have all of those things, maybe who doesn't have the biggest encouragement of family and didn't have all the examples. And I decided I was going to be an example and champion the cause for the little guy, or the little girl, if you want to call it that. And through business, I've been able to do that. And so what I want to talk to you about today is something, a vision that I had of being able to take the little guy and give him big results. Because that's what I've always wanted. And I've been able to accomplish that in business over the last several years. And I had a vision years ago of being in a technology-based business, specifically what was known at that time as ride hailing and ride share. I woke up the next day and I said, it's the dumbest dream you could ever dream, because I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know anything about technology and I didn't understand. And it was all the obstacles that came my way. And again, I wasn't connected to people in the technology world. So again, I'm using my little guy brain, or my big guy brain, but little guy courage met. And the discouragement of me not knowing how actually suppressed that vision. Years later, that vision came back and I thought about it. And somewhere around October, September of last year, we started putting meetings together and the possibility of what could it be like if we could take this huge concept of what the world is going to be. And instead of trying to follow every other concept that has already existed, what if we focused on where the world is going to be and we start today giving people that opportunity and do it differently than any other company's ever done. And hence, ladies and gentlemen, that's why we're on this call today. And I'm going to be very brief on this call and give it to you very straight. That was when the concept of what we call Vibe Rides was actually born. And I'm going to see if Mark is here. My screen is actually stuck on my end. I've got this real big image of Scott that's just smiling that was stuck. There we go. Scott, I like you, but I like the vibe presentation just a little bit better, okay? But that was when Vibe came around, and we created a hashtag called Choose Your Vibe, right? And Choose Your Vibe is more than about choosing a car or choosing, and we'll talk about that. It's really about choose your vibe. It means that we wanted to take the power of technology and opportunity and entrepreneurship and put it back into the hands of the little guy. And if you're on this call and you're not classified as what the little guy, you got the pedigree and you've got the college education or you've got multiple businesses, I want you to pay attention as well, because what I've learned is this: how I went from the little guy to people thinking I was the big guy is make sure that I empower many, many, many little guys. And so you have an opportunity here as well. But Vibe, Choose Your Vibe is our hashtag. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. And you'll be able to see why Choose Your Vibe is our hashtag throughout the presentation. I want to go and because this is an opportunity presentation, I want to give a disclaimer and tell you a little bit about our disclaimer and why that disclaimer is so important. Legally, because I'm going to talk about income and opportunity and what's possible, we have to give you disclosure and say that, Vibe Rides can't and will not make any guarantees about your ability to get results. And we can't guarantee you a certain amount of income, because we can't be there to guarantee that you're going to do the work. So this disclaimer is something that we'll keep up here. You can go back and review it, because we like to be completely transparent. The foundation of our company is based off of what we call the IT factor. I being integrity, T being transparency. Integrity and transparency is what's paramount here with Vibe Rides and anything that we do as a company. And so go back and take a look at this, so that way you have a real true understanding of what we want you to understand about our company. But let's get down to it. Let's talk about the changes that has occurred in the world and what's taking place here. The world has changed right before our eyes. Okay, obviously we see immediate evidence of this, of what's happening right now in terms of how many people, your life and the restrictions or what you do and your habits have changed. But even before that, the world has completely changed. I remember a time when a person would get a job and they would be able to rely on that opportunity for about 30 or 40 years. Well, today, the average person goes through 5 different career changes. And jobs today, because technology changes and actually sometimes replace us, what happens is sometimes we go to work and we recognize that we're undervalued because technology has now replaced us. Sometimes you get overworked, underpaid, aged out. All of those are issues that have taken place within the world most recently. And if you haven't experienced any of this, it means that you're probably not old enough to either have been in the workplace or you just haven't been paying attention. But this is what we deal with. That's an issue. What I've learned is the most successful people around the world are those who come and solve the biggest issues. I saw this as a big issue, and I wanted to empower other people to help me solve that challenge. We're not going to eliminate it because that's always going to be here. We can put a dent in it. And so I want to introduce to you a totally different industry. Many of you who are on this call may already be familiar with, but a total different economy that we call the gig economy. The gig economy is something that's new, it's refreshing, it's young. It involves technology. It involves being able to work smarter, being able to get more done with less energy. We call that leverage. Utilizing technology, app-based philosophies that creates newer and bigger opportunities for each and every one of us. But in the gig economy, some people don't know how to do it. I remember the gig economy, if you were before a taxi cab driver, you were looked upon as, wow, you didn't make it. You're only a taxi cab driver. And it wasn't a profession that was an esteemed profession. Even if you were a truck driver, it was good, but you were more considered blue collar. And I hate categorizing people between white collar and blue collar because I'm really a no collar worker. I don't like collars at all. I like to wake up, put my t-shirt on, go into the office and have lifestyle. And so we're going to talk about the no collar workers. But I want to share with you, why is it that most people have never gotten ahead of the money curve. I didn't understand that. And for some time, I wanted to know, why is it that I was spending more time doing things, but I wasn't getting ahead? I wasn't meeting my goals. And how many of you are out there right now? And I want you to put a comment in it. If it's you, if you don't mind, have you ever felt like a hamster on a wheel? Have you ever felt like you're working extremely hard, but at the same time, it seems like you're getting further and further away from your financial goals? Okay. And if that is you, just put a comment out there, because that's what I've witnessed. That's what I've seen. And that's what used to happen to me. And I figured, and I would watch other people and say, wow, it seems like they got it all together. And I'm working harder. And it was like I was a hamster on a wheel. And so what I want to do now is I want to kind of show you and share with you why. And I'll give you some of the answers as to why most people never get ahead of the money curve. But I want to share with you now how to take that now it's time for you to take control and take control back from where you are right now and move you into a whole new economy. Let's look at this quadrant here. And I want to use this to preface what we're going to speak about today. Here, you're going to have, you've got an illustration of 4 different quadrants here. One is called the employee quadrant. Someone that I admire, Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, who taught the philosophy of this. And I'm just utilizing this to share with you how this business that we're going to talk about, where you really can be and how you can take back control. If you're an employee in the E quadrant, it just simply means that you have a job, and that's a great thing. If you're in the S quadrant, you're self-employed. It means that you now own that job, okay? And when you own a job, basically, it means that you set your own hours, but it's the same work that you were doing before. When you get into the business quadrant, it means that you own a system. And when you get into the I quadrant as an investor, it means that money began to work for you. And so I looked at, how did I get on the other side of money? And I said, I want to put into this presentation and share with people how I did it and how I've helped so many other people do it, and really give you not only a presentation, but an education so you can get started today and start taking back that control. Let's look at where you currently are, okay? Right now, if you're working a job, you know, where are you right now? You've got an opportunity to put in what I call active effort, okay? Active effort. Active effort just simply means that you trade your time and then you're going to get a unit of money. So that means if you're a driver right now, if you are a hairstylist, if you are an engineer, if you are a doctor, an attorney, you get paid on billable hours. If you're a driver, you get paid on miles. It means that you put in effort and you earn money. It's nothing wrong with that. What happens is the majority of us spend too much time on the wrong side of the money curve. If you look at the E and the S, this is why our goals are so far out, and it just seems like as time goes by, that gap becomes larger and larger and larger and larger. So let's break it down here and share with you what we have here with Vibe, and share with you how to move from just that E quadrant so that you can move to that S quadrant, move from the E quadrant, S quadrant to the business quadrant. On the other side of this, what you've got is the passive efforts, okay? Passive efforts is when you're in the business quadrant or the I quadrant. And that means that you're simply on the right side of money. It means that you've got a system. You're able to use leverage, and you're able to allow leverage, time, and money to work for you. And we're going to share with you how to encompass all of this. And if this doesn't make sense to you, just keep paying attention. I promise you it'll mean something to you. It'll make a lot more sense to you. So let's break it down to its individual components here, so you'll understand exactly what we've got. At the employee quadrant, your boss controls your time, your boss controls your money. Now, we're not demeaning having a job, but I do want you to understand, here's what happened. When I had a job, they told me what time to get up, what time to go to work. They also told me how much I can work. They told me what my income was going to be. So they controlled my time, they controlled my money. I wanted to get out of that. I'll never forget, I had this vision. I want to be my own boss. And so what did I do? I started a business and I moved myself to the S quadrant. I had a furniture company. I used to be in sales before, then I started my company. And I moved to the S quadrant, self-employed. And then when I was in the self-employment quadrant, my customers controlled my time. My customers controlled my money. Mark, if you can keep up with me and go to the next slide, please. My customers controlled it all, okay? And what I realized was I was able to really, didn't have anybody to answer to. I traded in one boss for about 100 bosses called clients. And I realized the only difference that I had was I had a little bit more tax advantages, but I wasn't making much more money. But what I did is I wanted to move over to a different quadrant. I wanted to get to the B quadrant, and where you became a business owner. And as a business owner, it's where you control your time, you control your money. And eventually I wanted to get down to the investor quadrant, whereas I would have money left over from my business that I could actually put that money to work, or as what a good friend of mine says, put overalls on my money and let my money go out and do the hard work. But you know what? Here I was, a kid with no business experience. I didn't understand it. I had no business training. Nobody had ever taught me about taxes and how to run a business. And I was frustrated thinking that it was so difficult. What I'm about to do right now, ladies and gentlemen, is break it down for you and show you with Vibe how you can simply get started with a simple concept in the gig economy and get to the B quadrant ASAP. You can do what you're already doing. No boss, no degree, no experience, others working for you, meaning that you have leverage, and start that process of taking control back, and start that process of owning your own time and owning your own money. I want to introduce a concept within the gig economy. I call it the drive share industry. The drive share industry, if you look at it, the timing is right. There's 98 million rideshare passengers. That's just the passenger component of what we're looking at. There's 5.3 million drivers and growing right now. And so if you look at what's happening right now, if you look at Amazon, if you look at, I saw a commercial with FedEx and a commercial with Domino's Pizza, they're all hiring. Why? They don't have enough people to drive. And I'm like, wow, this is the perfect time. This is the right timing right now. And so what Vibe really is Vibe is not only driving passengers. Vibe, our company really is, we are a mobility solutions company. A mobility solutions company. What does that mean? It means that we have the ability, and our technology is set up so that we can move people if we want, so that we can move products if we want, so that we can move services if we want. Just think about it right now. You know, the companies that are thriving right now are those companies who are set up from a technology standpoint, such as your Amazon. Why is Amazon hiring 100,000 people right now? Because they position themselves where the marketplace was going to be, instead of trying to reinvent what the world used to be. And ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly what we've done. So introducing the next generation of what I call drive share is Vibe, okay? Is Vibe. And what this is going to do is going to empower so many people around the world. And I can tell you, I believe that this is going to be the most revolutionary concept and one of the biggest concepts to hit a marketplace, specifically the way that we do it. You've heard of other companies in the rideshare industry. You've heard of other companies in delivery. You've heard of so many companies in the gig economy, and I'm so proud of those because they've inspired us. But what you haven't heard of is what I'm about to share with you right now. I don't know of a company who's done what I'm about to share with you right now. With our company, with Vibe, there's 3 ways to Vibe. And I want to go through those 3 ways and share it with you and make it real simple, and then we'll be done. 3 ways. One is ride, one is drive, and the other is overdrive. So let's talk about ride. Let's talk about how do we ride? What's the ride component? And why would someone want to ride with Vibe? All right. Our USP, when we look at our hashtag of choose your vibe. But what is Vibe Rides? We're just different. You're able to choose your vibe. And what do we mean by choose your vibe? What we looked at is we surveyed so many people who were taking rides in that rideshare industry. We found out, what is it that you like about it? What is it that's wrong with the industry? And everything that they liked about it, we made sure that we put that in. And everything that they disliked about it, we wanted to make sure that we address those concerns as well. Being able to customize your ride, being able to offer rider rewards, and being able to provide opportunities for women. Why? Because one of the things that we heard was that women felt uncomfortable in certain situations. And so we created a concept called girl power. So why is Vibe Rides just different? Okay. From an app standpoint, all of these features that we have currently right now, and then other features that you'll be able to choose your vibe. It's right there in your app. So when a customer sets up their profile, they can choose whether they like to talk. They can choose the style of music that they like. They can choose the actual temperature that they want to enjoy, or whether they want the windows down. They can choose girl power if they want. That means a female, if it's a late at night and she's 1 o'clock in the morning, need a ride and doesn't feel comfortable with a male, she chooses girl power and only a female pick her up. Would you like to have features such as, maybe you're going on a nice date, or maybe it's prom time for you and you want a new car that's 1 or 2 years old? Well, we'll have features in there that you can choose new car, and the only thing that will come will be a new car. What if you wanted an exotic car? What if you wanted a limousine? You'll be able to choose your vibe the way you want it. That's the vision. We want to empower you, and we'll put all of this together for you, and you still need no experience whatsoever. Additional safety features that we put in that make us unique and make us different. Safety alert features that we put in, route tracking, first name only, different rewards and loyalty and user benefits that we've been able to put in place. Just this month here, through our launch for customers, every week this month, we have given out a free 3-day vacation that they have up to 18 months to use. At any time, we go into a drawing. Any one of our customers, we pull a name out and that customer win that drawing. No strings attached. All they've got to do is use a Vibe Ride. These are things that we're going to continue doing. Why? Because of our affiliation and our position that we also possess in the travel industry. Being able to share the vibe and get paid, travel exclusive that we're going to talk about a little bit later on. But I want to go and talk about the next generation of where it fits in for you. I want to share with you how the next generation of what I call drive share works for you. Here's where I want you to pay close attention. And here's what the big difference maker is. 3 ways for you to vibe. As we mentioned, earn when you drive, earn when others drive, earn when customers ride. Let's talk about the drive component. We've talked about riding. Now let's talk about driving. What's available for you when you drive? Let's talk about active income. Earn when you drive, up to 75% of the base fare of the distance and the time that's charged after your first 50 rides. This is real simple. This puts money back into your pocket. You're now in the S quadrant, as you notice, which means that you're owning your own time. You use the app, you turn it on when you want, turn it off when you want, and here you go, 75% of the fare. Let's give an example. I want to share with you what opportunities are available just with active driving alone. This is an example of how to earn about $5,000 a month just from driving. This is if you never participated in anything else, okay? $5,000 a month is roughly $250 a day. That's 20 days of driving if you average 17 rides a day at the average of $15 per ride. If you notice, I didn't mix in those long airport rides that are $100 rides or $60 rides. Why? Integrity and transparency. We want to give it to you real. We want to share with you what we believe is possible. But you know that that rides and fares are going to vary. But just by driving alone, this is what's available to you, and you can do this on a part-time basis. Now I want to go to what we call overdrive. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where we're now going to be able to get into the B quadrant. This is where things get a little bit different, and I applaud all of the other companies out there who've empowered drivers, and they've done exactly what they're supposed to do. They've made opportunities available for people to be self-employed, but they didn't do what I do. What I do and what I'm a specialist in is taking people to the B quadrant. and showing them, if they choose to, how to create wealth. How to create wealth. And so let's talk about passive income. Earn when others ride, earn when others actually drive. And that B quadrant, ladies and gentlemen, is pretty significant. Let me give you a rider passive model. Let's look at you here for example. And that's you on the end over there. Here's what you do. Let's just say, for example, you understand our concept, what you do. Everybody here has actually taken a delivery. You've used a rideshare company before. You've had a package delivered, or you've ordered food and had it delivered to you. You've seen it, you've participated. Now it's time for you to get paid from it. Matter of fact, not only have you done it, you have actually recommended companies for other companies, and all you receive is not even a thank you. What if you can get paid for what you've already been doing? So let's just say that's you there. Let's say you referred 10 riders. I can tell you right now, how did I hear about other rideshare companies? It was people first who had told me about it. How did I hear about food delivery companies? My son told me, Dad, there's this new company, they'll deliver your food. They never paid him for it. We are the biggest promoters in the world, but what happens often is that we subject ourselves to reward abuse, meaning we will line the pockets of major big corporations all over the world and never expect anything. It's time for you to get paid. Let's say you went out and you referred 10 customers and all they did was become riders. They didn't have to sign up for anything. Everything for them is free. They are able to choose their vibe, enter all the loyalty rewards programs. And when we give them free things, you don't pay for it whatsoever. But those 10 customers, let's say that we put our model in, which we're doing, that every time a customer gets 5 referrals, because our customers can refer customers, we're going to give them a free ride. So they give them their 5, they get their 5 free referrals, which means now you've got 50 riders that's in that next basket. Let's say those 50 wanted their free ride and they referred 5 other people, say, hey, there's this new concept called Vibe. Now here's what you've got, that third basket, you've got 250 riders. You've got a total of 310 riders in your entire referral basket. None of them pay any monthly fees whatsoever. It's totally free for them to possess our technology. Let's just say on the average that they do $50 per month in rideshare. That's $15,000, $15,500 per month. You earn 3% off of all 310. Do you know that even the 250 customers or riders that you had no direct connection to, those are your personal customers? I haven't even told you, what if the 250 referred their 5? That's when it gets crazy. This simple example that I gave you right here, ladies and gentlemen, just passively gives you $5,580 per year just by owning your own service. You don't own a car in this example. You don't pay any fuel. You don't pay any insurances. You do none of the such. All you've been is a person who's connected someone to the most revolutionary drive share program out there. And every time somebody takes a ride, you get paid for life. For life. Let's talk about the next concept, ladies and gentlemen, because here's where it starts to get really good. What about a driver passive model? I want to share with you a concept that we created that allows a driver to drive, or allows a person to be an entrepreneur, and maybe you don't want to go out and do any drives. But I'll share with you how to earn, just like you own your own fleet of limousines, just like you own your own fleet of taxi cabs. Here's what happens with DriveShare. In DriveShare, let's say that's you, that same you right there. You throw out one of our QR codes and you actually have someone who becomes a driver. In this example, you've got 10 drivers that you've referred. Let's just say that their driver fares on an annual basis are only $50,000 per year. With 10 drivers, that's $500,000 a year in drivers that you override and drive fares that you override. What does Vibe do to you? We come back and give you 3% of that. That's a $15,000 driver passive model. Ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are on this call, you're currently a part of drive or rideshare companies right now. And you can refer someone and receive a one-time bonus after they've completed 100 drives. But you know what? Some of you are lifers. Some of you love this concept and you're going to do this for life, but you'll only get paid one time. We created a concept that every time that driver who took your referral code turns that app on and completes a drive, 3% of it comes to you. One thing I didn't even talk about is, we'll go to the next one, but I didn't talk about, what if those drivers refer someone? I won't even put it in there because it gets to a point where you look at it and it becomes almost unbelievable. But we wanted to make a model that was simple, and a model that was believable, and a model that puts the control back to you. I looked at it myself when I put myself in the seat behind the wheel of current drivers today, and we listen. I would be very frustrated, feeling like my pay is continuing to decrease. It becomes harder and harder and harder because the company that I'm driving for have shareholders that they have to be accountable to. Here's what I want you to know. Every person that downloads an app and become a driver with our company, you are who I'm responsible to. I want you to understand, I consider you to be the equivalent of the shareholders. You are who we have to be accountable to, not an investment group. Our company is fully capitalized, has zero debt, and ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for you to take your stake in the drive share. Let's go ahead and give you an example to wrap this up so that you can understand what these differences are, and then we're done. I want to give you two different examples here. On the left, you've got your typical ride share. It's called active drive. This is what other rideshare or other delivery concepts allow you to do. First of all, you're on the wrong side of the money curve. You're only in the E or the S quadrant. Well, let's talk about the benefits of it, of what you get, which I think are pretty cool. And then we'll go to the overdrive program. When you look at it, the company pays for your startup fees. And people look at that and they say, wow, well, they're going to pay for my background check, and they're going to pay for my vehicle registration. And do you know, I see so many people get so fired up and excited because the company's going to invest $30 or $50 in you, but then take the biggest chunk of the money for the rest of your life. Here's what I want you to understand. I'll get to that in a second. But yes, they'll do that. Earnings capped at around 70 to 75%. Haven't seen any bonuses that I'm aware of. Haven't seen any vacation packages or any referral bonuses that continue to pay you off of other people. 25 to 30% of the revenue that comes from each drive has to go back to satisfy shareholders. Now, there's nothing wrong with that concept. I think that concept is wonderful. But for somebody who wants to take control, you might want to get on the other side of the drive share curve as well and consider what I call overdrive, passive income. Do you pay for your own background check? Of course you do. Do you pay for your own car registration? Of course you do. I think that total, depending on where you're going to be, is somewhere between, can be between $40 up to $70, depending on which market you're in. But remember, you own a business now. Can you imagine starting a McDonald's franchise? You have the ability to own franchises all around the world, and you call McDonald's and ask them, hey, are you going to buy my buns for me? It doesn't work that way. Okay. And who makes the most money? The person who works at McDonald's or the person who owns franchises? The franchise owner. So I want you to understand this is the position that you're able to be in. Number one, here's the benefit. You get to own customers or own the income from customers. As a driver, you can refer customers just like anyone else can, and those customers can actually ride with other drivers, and every time somebody else is taking them around, you're getting paid. Why? You own a business. You can own your own fleet, which means that you can refer other drivers and have unlimited number of drivers that be a part of your network. And guess what? They're driving for themselves. If they only want to drive, you still get paid. Unlimited number of drivers, which gives you leverage. The tax benefits, absolutely amazing. You know, today, if you're in America, the tax benefits, you get 57.5 cents for every mile that you drive. 57.5 cents. Every mile that you drive, you get to deduct it. You know, later on, I'll share with you some of the other benefits that we'll have, but just the tax components of it alone are different. Why? You are now a business owner. I want you to imagine that you put 20,000 miles on your car. 20,000 miles. 20,000 miles, if you multiply that times 57 cents, you know, that's a little over $10,000 that you get to take off your bottom line. See, ladies and gentlemen, here's the thing about average income and wealth income. Average income gets taxed first because they have no leverage. Let's say you make $50,000 a year. What happens if you own a job? You pay taxes on $50,000 a year. But let's just say that you were in our overdrive program, which now you own a business and you earn $50,000 a year, but you put 20,000 miles on your car. You multiply the 20,000 times the 57 cents. That's going to give you over $10,000 that you're able to deduct. And now you're only paying taxes on 40,000. But what if you took a portion of your home like we're doing now and made it whereas you communicated with your other drivers and it became a part of your office? You're able to take that percentage of square footage of your home and deduct that off of your percentage of your mortgage, and that becomes tax deductible. When you go out and eat meals between drives, guess what? Those meals now become tax deductible. You can be a $50,000 a year earner, and with all the expenses that you have, be able to deduct, up to 30, 40,000, depending on your business expenses, and only pay taxes on that small portion. You know, the other part that's not listed here, for all of our overdrivers, I talked to our team and I said, here's what we're going to do that's different. Many of you don't understand the tax code and you don't understand what you can do and all the benefits. You're leaving so much money on the table. Annually, what we're going to do for all of our overdrivers is we're going to bring in the people who do my taxes, the people who do the company's taxes. And what we're going to do is we're going to educate and do not just an online event, educating all of our drivers how to maximize all the benefits that you have as a business owner. Why? Nobody ever taught it to me. And this is why we're putting it together to make sure you maximize the tax code. Our US tax code was designed for business owners, not for employees. And we want you to understand you are a business owner. 70 to 75% for driving alone. So not only can you earn the passive income, but you're obviously earning up to 75% on all of your own drives as well. Now, here's the cool part, 12% to the drive share. That 12% is above and beyond that 75%. And when you look at the difference of what's left over, ladies and gentlemen, only 18% that's left for the company. We're completely transparent with that. We want to invest back into you. We want you to be a part of this. And so with those of you who own and tuned in right now, what you should do at this moment is consider, which quadrant do you want to be in? Are you satisfied with the E and the S quadrant? Or do you want to switch over into that B quadrant? Do the same thing you've been doing, have bigger benefits, bigger income, bigger control, and have the lifestyle that you deserve. What's left to do right now? Simply rev your engine and get started now. Become a part of this Vibe family and help us build this company. Become a part of it. How do you do that? $49 is what your business registration fee is. It's what it costs for you, your business registration. And our overdrive component to be an overdrive ambassador is $200 for your overdrive pack. That's right, $250. Now with this particular package here, this will include one background check, one vehicle inspection. It will include invitations so that you can actually get customers and actually allow us to help you start building your fleet. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want more information, you can go right there to vibeoverdrive.com. But right now, it is time for you to get started and choose your vibe. Get with the person who invited you to this call. Let them know you're ready to choose your vibe and become a part of the revolution that's in DriveShare called Vibe Rides. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. And Scott, I don't know if you had any closing or parting shots, but I'll pass it back over to you and let you close us out. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you.
Hey, thank you very much, Holton. And again, thanks for coming on Vibe Rides and going through the opportunity presentation. We've talked about this over the last few weeks, and it's a very, very big opportunity, one that you don't see within the rideshare industry today. It's something that's going to make us different as a company. When you really see, and Holton gave you some of the information, when you really see the potential here and you see what can be done, the whole mobility of moving goods and products and services around, it's a pretty phenomenal concept. And the way that this has been actually put together and developed and packaged by Mr. Buggs, we do believe that this is going to be a concept that's really going to change this whole industry. So again, as Holden said, is if you've had somebody that got you on this call to learn more about it, get with them and see what they have to say. Or if you want to learn more about just the day-to-day training and what it is to be a driver, we have on Vibe Rides. We started about March 20th. And we put together a number of training sessions. We did about 8 of them. That really went through the details and the specifics on everything. We're going to recap that on Thursday. So really looking at 2 things. If you really want to understand the driving portion of it, tune in on Tuesdays and Thursdays with us. We're here at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, and we go over the details as it relates to being a driver and what that entails, and questions on the app and how the app works. And if you want to learn about the overdrive component more, get with that person who invited you on the call today. Thanks again for everybody for visiting with us today, for being on the call. I can see the participation is great. Lots and lots of people that we're seeing on this webinar and on Facebook. Thanks so much for being with us. Thanks for your interest in Vibe Rides. And we look to see you more on the upcoming calls that we have. So thank you very much.